Hey everyone. Uh, okay. Oops. Hey everyone. Welcome to the Tom's Hardware Piecast for January 11th, 2022. As always, I'm Tom's Hardware Editor in Chief, Avram Pilch, and I am joined today by by Associate Editor Les Pounder, Raspberry Pi expert Ash Hill, and our very special guest, friend of the show, Brian Corteil, and his new robot Doofus. Happy New Year to everybody. Brian, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you. Yeah, it was a good start to the year. Been having fun, adding features to Doofus, and yeah, cool.
So this robot looks very 80s. It looks somewhere between an 80s toy robot and what was that robot on Battlestar Galactica, Lucifer or something, that had the RGB head? Where did you get the idea for Doofus?
So Doofus is I based him on the Pi Wars logo. If I can just share. Let's not worry about that. So if I just going to share a thing. So can you see my desktop?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yep.
So if you look, you can see the Pi Wars logo.
Yeah.
So it's basically based in Doofus on the logo. So we'll go back.
The eyes and mouth and everything.
So yeah, so this thing, and if I lift him up, you can see he's got
very slick.
He's got tracks as well.
Excellent.
So and his head will be articulated as well, so he'll be able to turn, and also the body will be able to turn on the wheels as well. So the thing, I wanted to give it I was going for a 1950s newsy type of feel to him, and that's why we got the LED matrix in the middle of it, and his head. If I just gonna change on the thing. If I come in closer with a camera, can you see that
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Individual LEDs. So there's laser like this, and there's 4 strips of Poundland battery Christmas LEDs there.
Hey.
And then the latest thing that I've added recently is that we've got a OLED screen to be able to give sort of like a mouth
Cool.
expressions and stuff like that. So thing and as I was saying, if we go down further down, we've got the an 8x8 NeoPixel matrix.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, if Doofus doesn't mind his undercarriage, is a track. So this is actually the tracks that were from a sort of a cheap Chinese Arduino type robot.
Yeah.
Right.
And just everything above them is sort of like been either 3D printed or laser cutted. So the columns thing, and this is the side of Doofus. So I've added audio to him. I've got a quick demo. I'm quite fond of having sweary little Star Wars type robots. So
now
there's there's a Python library that you can put in text into it, and it comes out with droid, Astro Droid, Mech Droid type of sound. This thing, and
do we dare ask what he's actually saying?
That is actually random at the moment, but I do normally make him a little bit sweary. Because he is bleeped out, isn't he? So
for every film in the series, he is, yes.
Yeah.
Brian, how much of this is 3D printed?
So if you look at the columns, they're 3D printed, and the base. Sorry, the sort of like his shoulders. His dome is actually a dome from a CCTV camera. You know, like it's about the same size as the fake elf cams they use for terrorizing children at Christmas.
Elf on a Shelf.
Yeah, Elf on the Shelf. They sort of like do the surveillance cameras, don't they? That to keep your little ones in line. Well, hopefully keep your little ones in line.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on working on this side. I'm gonna have break out the USB port and the monitor point thing. I found this a useful little dongle to have. It's a fake monitor. It means that if like if you don't set up the thing on your VNC into your Pi, you don't always get the screen size is sort of like tiny. With this fake one in, it sort of like gives you sort of like a HD screen without having to change any of the settings.
Oh, I see. So it's a fake monitor dongle?
Yeah, yes, it's a fake monitor. They're using in crypto mining.
Yeah.
So they fake the things, and the way that I was switching. So if I pull Doofus's head off, so I think in here, can you see this bit of strip board here?
Yeah.
There's a Darlington array, which is so they're able to switch higher current with the GPO ports of the pins of the Pi.
Yeah.
And then I'll put the resistors in line for the LEDs to limit how much current they draw.
Nice. So are the LEDs powered from the Pi's GPIO, or are they powered separately and just switched with the Darlington array?
So they are actually powered from the same supply as the Pi, but it's a thing. So I will have to just remove the back to be able to show you.
Poor Doofus is going under the knife tonight, isn't he?
He's used to it. So
it's a nice build. It's good to see that the mix of disciplines, you've got the 3D printing and the laser cutting all put together into one robot. It's really nice to see a maker project doing so many different things.
So I tried to use the best tool for the job.
And of course, the best tool for the job is that lovely electric screwdriver you've got. Is it one of the wow sticks, or is it something else?
Yeah,
it's the of course it's spinning.
No matter what it is, I'm envious because I haven't got one.
So I do have a wow stick, and that's nice. This is the I can't remember the name of it. The one is the same as the soldering irons.
Oh, the TS80s and TS100s. That company.
Yeah, same company. Sorry, you're just looking at a blank screen here.
It's okay.
We can soon change that.
I'm also interested by the LED matrix you got on the front. It's an 8x8 grid, but it doesn't look like a unicorn hat or anything like that. It looks a lot bigger.
It's you know what?
Don't make a worry on it. If you've got a problem with the screw, don't worry about it.
It doesn't want to come out.
Don't worry.
The thing. So okay. So behind there, it's sitting a DC to DC converter. The thing, but the matrix is basically just an eBay special that's based on the Adafruit.
Okay.
matrix.
It looks quite large. I mean, unicorn hat obviously is a hat size. So you're looking at what about 3 inches square? But
Yeah,
that looks a lot bigger.
it is bigger than
Yeah.
it is bigger than a thing. Right. So okay. So the matrix.
Can we get the camera working again? Because it's there you go.
Oh,
There we go.
sorry. Yeah, sorry about that.
No worry.
I thought
Yeah.
I transferred it over. So this is the one that I use when I'm developing the patterns before I put them onto Doofus,
Mm-hmm.
and be able to show how it's constructed.
The Matrix has got a very Buck Rogers, the doctor that's carried by the robot. I can't remember his name now.
Oh yes, let's see. Well, I wanted to do sort of like that typical sort of like 1950s, 60s
Yeah.
computer movie computer thing.
Yeah.
So it's just made up of a thing. So NeoPixel matrix,
Yeah.
and then it sits in a frame and it has a baffle.
Nice.
So it sits on there. So it's to stop the light from going to diffusing
Yeah.
across, and then I use a piece of standard paper, printer paper, to act as a diffuser. And then you've got the top layer that sits on top, and you drive it just as a pair of as NeoPixels, the circuit part thing. So that's actually being driven by a Pyrone. Oh, is it plasma? Yeah.
Oh, plasma 2040. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice piece of kit that.
So I'm hoping to get that connected up, either to get it to be as an I2C host, so Doofus can control it himself, or serial through the USB, but that's still on the plan.
That's cool.
So,
And you've got the I2C little screen as well for the mouth, haven't you?
yes. So the mouth, if I bring Doofus in, it can actually do. I'll bring the camera in closer. So I'm not sure about the case that I got for the mouth yet. So I haven't permanently stuck it. I might go for a more minimum view, and just so you can actually see the PCB and everything.
Yeah.
Because Doofus is a little bit of a junk robot, so I think that could add to its aesthetic. So I'm able. No, I haven't got that running.
It's all right.
So I remember the.
Hey, Rim, you muted.
Sorry.
Let's. Yeah, so I have written a Python library to make changing the mouth and that a little bit easier.
Yeah, you've abstracted quite a lot of the complexities away, haven't you, with that library? It's really nice.
So hopefully, yeah. So I can change his mouth. So the animation.
Oh, that's very cool. So, what are you still working on Doofus, or would you consider Doofus to be finished at this point?
There's a lot of work to be done on Doofus. I need to add motors so he can turn his head and rotate his body. I've got to integrate the. So at the moment, his mouth is being controlled by an additional Raspberry Pi. I need to integrate that into the main pie, and he has got movement. But I forgot to bring a battery with me, so I'm not able to demonstrate that. So yeah, he's still got a lot of work to be done. I also want to do things that when he is actually talking, I want to get his mouth to be animated. So there's I was showing a Python library that you can put text into it, and it will give the mouth shape.
So what should Doofus's final function set be?
I'm actually building him to compete into Pi Wars, this year's Pi Wars. So he's going to be doing a number of challenges. So he's going to be able to be remotely controlled, and then there's going to be to do some autonomous functions like pick apples from an apple tree, herd sheep. There was another one, and take feed and fill feed troughs.
So what will Doofus be able to do autonomously?
So he will be able to, hopefully he'll be able to identify an apple on an apple tree, pick it, and return it back to his barn. And it will be one of the autonomous functions. It should be to be able to feed this like the animal feeds troughs as well. Identify where they are. Go to the trough and then fill it with a certain amount of feed. And the next autonomous one will be the herding of some sheep. So collecting the sheep and taking it and placing it in its compound.
That one sounds interesting to have to do a test run for.
Are they real sheep?
No, they're just little blocks, but it's going to be it's going to be fun or quite hard work.
So you said he's going to be able to drop feed off. Does that mean he's going to have arms that can grip?
I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm thinking about giving him a couple of arms, whether they're just there for the looks of it. They're going to have to build most probably a trailer or something to be able to carry the apples in. I think, yeah, most probably the arms will be able to do some things. They'll be able to take a thing, but there is a lot of development still to be done and planning. So
I have a question about the antennas. Are they more than decorative?
Yeah, the antennas are completely decorative. It's saying if on the original robot, it's got a couple of aerials. So I think they could be used for Wi-Fi if wanted, but I haven't found the need.
Is there a camera in it at this point?
Yeah, there is a camera. It's tucked down at the bottom.
I see.
I think it's down low because most of the objects you're going to be looking for are going to be down fairly low, apart from the apple tree. But hopefully, it's another thing I may need to put one higher up or attach a webcam to him.
And those panels that are not those panels are wood panels?
Yes, these are laser cut wood. Sorry, it's laser cut wood. Yeah.
Oh, cool. And did you put a diffuser over the LED panel?
Yes, they're saying that this using exactly the same techniques as I showed when I took apart the dark one.
Mm.
It has a piece of paper, and this is sort of like
you've got a layer that prevents the light from bleeding from one LED to the next, haven't you?
Yeah, so there's a baffle. So the baffle's is this thing. So it's a piece of acrylic. It just stops the light from each LED bleeding into each other.
Now, how many attempts was it for that baffle to be cut on the laser cutter?
2 or 3.
Oh, you've got it down to a fine art, mate. I'd be down about 5 or 6 at least. It cost me a fortune in acrylic.
It's I was able to. I'm fairly good at doing the measuring and the guessing on it, and it's more important for it to. It's not an amazing fit, but it's basically good enough. So they fit on.
Spot on, mate.
It looks very authentic. It looks like something that could be straight out of either Star Trek or Buck Rogers. Awesome. That looks like it's something that could absolutely be a project, one of the best projects of the month or projects of the year. And now that we're in 2022, Ash, we not only have the best projects of the month, which we go through at the beginning of our first show of the month, but also I wanted to take a moment and have us each name what our favorite project was of the whole year of 2021. So Ash, starting with you, what was your favorite project that you saw in 2021?
Okay, so my favorite project is on the top 10 list for this month, so you have to go check all of them out because they're all really cool. But for the whole year, the one that took the cake for me is this. Let me pull it up here. It's so cool. It is a replica of GLaDOS from the video game Portal, and it's a voice assistant, and it's animated. So the camera lens kind of opens up and pops out. So when it talks, it moves around. And there was so much work into making it look just sleek and clean, like something just fell out of Aperture Laboratories into your lap. And I'm a sucker for like animation and animatronics. I will get stuck in the tiki room if you send me to Disneyland and go nowhere else. And I just love seeing it's like Jim Henson or something, with all the servos coming together just to bring something physical to life. And I love it. That's the one that I think was my favorite for the whole year.
Les, how about you? What was your favorite project that you've seen this year, in the last year?
My favorite one was from March last year. It was a Doomsday communicator powered by a Raspberry Pi Pico. We did a story on it, and it's a bonkers idea, but it's also brilliant. So you have a standard QWERTY keyboard's little PCB. Looking at the size of it, it's probably twice the length of a Pico from end to end. So it's not very big. Has a tiny OLED screen, and it has LoRa, long-range radio communication. So when the end of the world happens, just saying, keeping it all upbeat for the start of the year, you've got this communication device that can send messages over long distances, but it's using data packets, and it's just a simple PCB with a Raspberry Pi Pico soldered on using the castellations to make it like a surface mount device. And brilliant. It's made by someone called, I'm going to mangle the name, I think it's Bobricius, Bobricius. And they've made lots of different Apocalypse computers, and they're all brilliant.
Wow. How about you, Brian? What projects have you seen in the last year that really blew you away?
There was one that they put a Pi into an enclosure, so it looked like a switch with the remotes either side of it. I thought that was very cool. I can't. I'm sure that was this year. And,
Brian, when you say switch, is that a networking switch or electrical switch?
Oh, sorry, switch. I was thinking of the Nintendo Switch.
Ah.
So it looked like a Nintendo Switch, but it with the Joy-Cons either side of it. But it was running RetroPie.
Ooh.
Nice.
I think.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah. Here you are. So there's a.
So.
What about you, Avram?
So my favorite of this year, I mean, we had a lot of things that look cooler than this, but as far as actual utility, I really liked Ryder's package detector.
Ooh, that one's good.
So he actually, Ryder Damon, he writes for us, but he does these projects. He picks out these projects on his own. We don't, we don't really tell him what to make, so to speak. He comes to us and says, "Hey, I want to do this," and we usually say, "Hey, this sounds like a great tutorial." But one that he had already decided to do on his own was a package thief detector. So it uses machine learning and mounts a camera. Actually, one of the types of cameras he likes to use these cameras by mounts them outside the door. It feeds into a Raspberry Pi, which recognizes whether the package recognizes when a package has been dropped off, and then it recognizes whether the package has disappeared. And unless it sees his face as the person who picked it up, it sets off an alarm. And the amount of alarm stuff it does is crazy. Like, not only does it set up a really loud alarm, but he also set up parts that would like spray you with water and shoot flour at you and all kinds of stuff if you were the package thief. So now I don't know if that could get you into trouble if somebody accidentally gets hit with water and flour. So I don't know if I
have the tutorial.
I don't know if I recommend actually using this as a security device, but it was a great innovation, and I really enjoyed seeing it. He had a great video of it where he got his neighbors to come and attempt to steal packages from him and see what happens. So I thought that was a great use of machine learning and triggering different home projects. So I think that was pretty cool. Speaking of projects, Les, you've been checking out a new app that's going to allow you to more easily identify your COM ports, correct?
That's right, yeah. So I found this today. It was via Arturo182 on Twitter. Thank you very much. And fantastic piece of kit. A simple exe file that when I install it, it runs in the system tray, and I connect a device, so like an Arduino, Pico, ESP32. It pops up what COM port it's connected to. So I'm a Linux user by trade, so I'm used to just looking through the config files to find what device I'm connected to. But with Windows, I have to right-click, go to Device Manager, then find out what COM port I'm on, and it's a bit of a faff. But with this, it's brilliant. So I'm going to switch to a small portion of my screen. There I am. And I've got the application installed here, Serial Port Notifier. And I'm going to plug in a Raspberry Pi Pico, which has been loaded with CircuitPython. And it says new serial port, COM42, and it also says Raspberry Pi Pico. That's not something that's default. I've put that in to identify it. But you can also tweak it even further. So if I go to that COM port, I've created a launcher for it using settings here. Let's bring that into shot. There we go. To say that when you see this device, open up PuTTY, set the serial port, set the speed, and away we go. So if I go to that now and open up PuTTY, there is CircuitPython ready to go. I'm going to go to PuTTY and open it up. It just happens ready to go. And this is going to save me so much time.
So did you have to hard code in the COM port for PuTTY, or it just automatically picks up whatever COM port it is?
When you go to the settings to set up the shortcut almost, it will default to say what is the one you're selecting. So it'll say there are two available, COM1 and COM51 in this case. COM1 is some other device in my machine, but it knows that COM51 has just been attached. So it's got a little bit of intelligence.
Right. But if you were plugging in a new board, you wouldn't necessarily know it would always get COM42, right?
No, you wouldn't, but it would come up and say what COM port's attached, what new device has been attached. If I grab something else now, luckily my desk is always a mess full of boards. So I'm going to grab a ESP8266 now and plug that in. So it's detected it's COM48. So I can go to serial port notifier. Let's close that notification. Settings, bring that into shop. New. Give it a label. Give it the program it needs to open, and give it some command line switches as well. And it should. This is where the live demo goes wrong. It should detect it. In this case, it's not. That's something to tweak with.
But that's really cool, because definitely an issue that we all have is that you plug in a board and it's not readily intuitive to figure out which COM port it's using. So
exactly, COM ports, they're not the first thing you think of, really, are they?
Yeah. So that is really cool. And the other thing that you've been working on this week is a new, easier way for someone to dual boot, or I guess multi-boot, Raspberry Pi.
Indeed, yeah. This is also a lovely piece of kit to just save a bit of time. So let's go to the right screen so you can see it. I wrote a tutorial last week on this. It's how to dual boot your Raspberry Pi. There's some software called Pin. And Pin's a little bit different. So normally if you want to do a dual boot, you use something like Berry Boot, and you'll set up your installs that way. With Pin, it's all done through a website, and you download a custom configuration script that you put onto an SD card, put the card in your Pi, and you've already configured it as to what Linux distros you'd like to use. So it downloads them, configures it, and you're ready to go. So I've actually got the site here to show you. So I'm going to simulate building a card now. So I've got an SD card inserted, but I could use a USB drive if I wished. It's got common sizes of SD cards. I'm going to use 32 gig. And then it automatically goes to the next bit. So I can use Raspberry Pi 4, so the latest and greatest, all the way down to Raspberry Pi 0. Works with the compute modules as well, which are usually quite a tricky way to program a board, the compute modules. There's always a little way you'll trip up as you're doing it. So I'm going to say I've got a Pi 4 Model B. And now it's showing me all the available OS for this device. So we've got minimal OS, so stuff like Diet Pi, which is the one where you can create appliances with your Pi, like servers or Mumble Chat or NASes, that sort of thing. Games, if you want to play some games, you can use these to do some retro emulation, so Batocera, Lacquer, Recallbox, and of course RetroPie. There's utilities. I've not really delved into those, but it just looks like it's a way to sort your SD cards out. Testing software. So this is the latest stuff that needs a bit of work to make it work. General OS, and this is where you just go through all the ones that are just general purpose OS. So the Raspberry Pi OS, the Ubuntu, Manjaro. Manjaro is excellent, by the way. I tried that out. Great.
It's true.
Yep. We've got media software as well. So LibreElec, OSMC. There's also Lineage as well, so you can run Android, which I find really interesting. So there's Lineage 19, RPi 4. That, I believe, is Android 12. So the latest Android for the Pi 4, which is getting some really good reviews from YouTubers that I've seen. So say I wanted to install something on the Pi. I want to have Manjaro XFCE, nice lightweight window manager. And I'm going to install Twister, because Twister's great. I've selected those two. I click on Next. It then asks me, what do you want for your system size? Do I want to do an equal split on the partitions on the card? In this case, yes, I do. That's it. I click on that download button there to download a zip file containing a custom bootable OS. I download recovery.command line, replace recovery.command line in the downloaded zip file with that one, chuck it all on an SD card, put it in the Pi, and just click install, and it just works. It downloads the OS for you, sets it all up, and you've got a dual booting Raspberry Pi. It's really quick as well.
That is really fancy.
Can you do more than two?
Oh, yes. I kept it at 2 for simplicity, but if you wanted to do multiple, yeah, it'll just partition the SD card as many times as you need. So if you wanted to have a really minimal OS on there, something nice and small, and then a big bloaty OS for when you want to use desktop software, no problem.
So what does the menu look like when you try to boot off of it after you've set everything up? Does it look like Grub or something like that to let you choose your
No.
OS?
It looks like Berry Boot. Very much
Yeah.
like Berry Boot. So you've got a window where you can select which OS to boot from, which OS is the default OS to boot from as well, which you can change. So if you'd like to boot from Raspberry Pi OS, say, you can put that to the top of the list. And then when you put the SD card in again, power up, if there's no input from the user whatsoever, it will boot Raspberry Pi OS. But if there's any input from the user, you can switch to whatever OS you want and just boot that one.
Great. Brian, do you find yourself dual booting operating systems at all?
Sometimes I was thinking that it could be a really good option for my cyber deck. Have a large card in there and have like a retro gaming setup and one for utilities and a full OS on it. So something I think I might try at the weekend.
Very cool. So made it really simple for folks to dual boot their Pi, which is great. So that's really exciting. So thank you. I want to thank everybody for tuning into our first show of the year. We already have a guest lined up for next week, which is Les. Who's our next week's guest?
Next week's guest is James Adams from Raspberry Pi Foundation Raspberry Pi Limited, I should say. And James is taking us through a history of the Raspberry Pi. So all the different board designs, all the mistakes that were made, all the prototypes that came along. And it's going to be really good fun to see all the old boards and learn more about how they were designed and what's going to happen in the future, what new stuff we're going to be.
Wow. I mean, if you think about it, just so folks know, this, I guess, would you say February 28th or March 1st?
February 28th.
Is the 10-year anniversary of Raspberry Pi. So we're going to be having some shows leading up to that. And that week, we're going to have a very special episode on the 28th to mark the 10th anniversary. So lots of cool stuff. As always, we are here 7:30 p.m. UK time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesdays. And we will see you all next week. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Yes, thanks. Bye.